Welcome to Do Good Now, the series where we explore the many ways Terps are doing good on campus, in their community, and around the world. As the nation's first Do Good campus, the University of Maryland is leading the way in experiential learning and social impact. Today, we'll hear from one such changemaker who's putting those values into action. Veronica Kang, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you. Very exciting to have you here in our first episode. I'd love to hear, Veronica, how do you do good here at the University of Maryland?
Yeah, well, I think it's all thanks to the wonderful supportive community like the Do Good Institute, and it's possible with people who are really intentional about making that change. So our project promoting meaningful interaction and social engagement, or PROMISE, it's for children with autism who can benefit from one-on-one support to engage in some friendship building activities. We do some things like board game, and we have snack time, and we have arts and literacy, a lot of fun things. So I partner with a community partner, Chinese Culture and Community Service Center, and we have our amazing UMD students who are our kind of educator mentor role for our children and youth. So it's been a really fun process. We talk about different things like emotion regulation. We also talk about culture and identity, and friendship and effective communication skills. So it's been very fun, and just to brainstorm ideas together and facilitate it every year.
Wow, I love that. There's a reason why we invited you on for our first episode. We're so impressed by the impact that you've already created, and hopefully how Do Good has helped accelerate that impact. So I'd love to hear if you could share a little bit about your Do Good journey. What first sparked your passion for this issue, and what steps did you take before connecting with Do Good?
Yeah, so I moved to Maryland 3 years ago, and when I did, I was introduced to Miss Kate Liu and Miss Ariel La. They're my co-directors for this project along with our students. So Miss Kate Liu, she's the director of the CC Health Clinic, and Miss Ariel La, she's the speech therapist at Speech Garden, her private speech clinic for children with autism. And we were gathered and we wonder, what can we do something for our autism and Asian community? And we decided, let's just first talk to families. So we did a monthly family support group, and a lot of families share, we want something where there's a space and community to get to know other children who are coming from similar background. And oftentimes it requires kind of that one-on-one support, as I mentioned. So that requires certain training and structure. So the family suggested, can you develop something for us where they can just have a lot of fun, whether that's after school or during the school break, because research shows that especially for families coming from different cultural background or language backgrounds, that accessing community-based support is especially challenging. So to create that social opportunity and sense of belonging for both our youth and parents, we just decided, let's give it a try. We ran it 2023 as our pilot, and then thanks to the Do Good Campus Fund, we ran it 2024 as well. We grew in numbers, and then we continued on this summer as well. So it's been very exciting.
That is indeed very exciting, and a great segue. So how has the Do Good Institute supported or accelerated your efforts to take action?
To a great degree, for sure. So as I shared in when we had our interview at the beginning, when I was applying for the project, we started with a small group of just 10 UMD students and 20 families, and we did a little focus group afterwards, and the families shared, we would really love a longer session, and we would really appreciate kind of that one-on-one support so that the mentor knows really well about the child that they're working with, and they get to really build a kind of a long-term meaningful relationship. So the Do Good Campus Fund definitely allowed us to get involved with 25 students, undergraduate students, graduate students from psychology, hearing and speech sciences, special education, which is the unit I'm from, international education policy. So really a wide range of backgrounds that students really came from and contributed to leading group activities and building that meaningful relationship with our youth.
So you really collaborated across campus for
Yeah.
this effort.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And I think that's one of the huge benefit of just being part of the UMD community, to be
Yeah.
able to put our heads together and just understand how we can support the different aspects of their everyday life and their development. So.
Wow. Wow. So tell us some lessons that you've learned about creating social impact through your Do Good experience.
Yeah, one thing I learned is it can't be done by myself
Yeah.
or by a small group. It really has to be done collaboratively. So first thing we did was going out to the community and just being there, just getting to know the families and what their needs and desires and what their experiences are. So that's something that I think is really valuable to make that really meaningful impact. And another thing I learned is every person has that power and will and their knowledge and experience to really contribute to make some good impact.
Of course.
So I learned that a lot from my students. When we have a family sharing, I want my child to be feeling more comfortable as they transition to this new program, and because it's every Saturday, it's a very new activity for them. So then one student from UMD said, "Oh, how about we make a social story?" So then we made pictures and description of the different activities we do each day. With arts too, I can share more examples too, but they really come with amazing ideas that I didn't think of, and parents share that some of really incredible creative ideas too, and also our youth participating in that program.
So everyone that's touching this experience gets that sense of agency for being
Yes.
able to do good.
Yeah.
You as the project lead, the youth that you're serving, the parents, the students that are learning by doing.
Yes.
That is I would actually like to hear one of those
Yeah.
arts examples.
Yeah. One week we talked about culture and identity. So our campers, some of them use fully spoken language, and some are AAC users. So they use a tablet device to touch different pictures or words to communicate with others. Or some students are using some single words or phrases. So we have students coming from this really wide range of communication modalities. So we wanted to do some art activity that is still meaningful for everybody participating. So one of our graduate students, she shared, it was Melanie Mon who was sharing this idea, and also Miss Ariel La, the speech therapist. She said, why don't we do a lunch bag, brown bag activity where they get to write or draw something about them. It can be that their favorite hobby, it can be something about their culture or languages they speak, or it can be their neurodivergent identity, or it can be something about their family, or it can be something about their personality. So anything that's visible outside, our campers put it decorated on the outside of the bag, and then inside they put anything related to their identity or culture that's not visible, but something that's still valuable for them. And then we had a chance to share with each other. So that's a great example. And we tried to also do some anything that's culturally relevant in terms of books we read or board games or songs that we involve. So for our very young group, our students said, let's try to do all the songs that represent our campus culture. So I was in a room where they were singing some Korean songs, some Mandarin songs for our children, and this year we had families from Ethiopia as well, from Vietnam, Thailand. So it's really cool to see how culture can be embedded, and that takes a lot of heads to brainstorm and do the searches, or it can be from personal experiences too if we share that same background.
So you've talked a lot about all these different ways of doing good, from cross-cultural identity and sharing and being able to communicate in different ways. How has the experience in the classroom and with this project shaped your understanding of what it means to do good in general?
Yeah. I learned that one impact can impact a lot of audience. So for example, initially we were thinking we want to make something for our youth, our children and youth who have either autism or other types of developmental disabilities, and coming from this diverse cultural language background where they can really benefit from a more kind of tailored, adapted programming. And then we realized, oh, this can really impact the family members. We had some siblings coming over and celebrating on our graduation ceremony too. Another thing was we wanted to make it an impactful experience for our university students too.
Right.
So as I mentioned, we have some students who are interested in education or adjacent disciplines, some who are maybe interested in becoming a doctor or doing something kind of internationally related to education policy. So lesson learned for me is that we can try to really individualize the experience so that as people leading the program and evaluating the program or partnering with the community, we can also try to find like learning opportunities, growth opportunities, and even for myself too. So I think that's important because we're working together. So it's important to kind of understand how we can learn from each experience for all members involved.
Of course, yeah. Talk more about your own experience with that,
Yeah.
how you feel like you've expanded your sense of doing good within your own role.
Yeah, I understood that it's so important for me to maintain humility because when we first began the project, I entered the space, the community space, thinking, oh, what can I do for the community? Like, what can I dedicate in terms of my knowledge and skills? But and same with working with students, I was thinking, how can I teach something, a valuable lesson for our students? But I realized that in fact the students are the ones who are giving me new suggestions or ideas that I didn't think of. It's the families and the community leaders who have really amazing examples that we can adapt to our program, and personal stories from families who really inform, it's important to think about important communication, social skills, but cultural identity is also really important. Or it's important to, have these social games and books and the different music activities, but how can we embed some more individualization so that it really reflects the identities of our children and youth? So I think that's something I learned and something that I want to keep having in my heart, to always have that mindset of a learner, because I think without that, I think the making that good impact can be challenging if you don't have that learner mindset.
I couldn't agree more. It's not like you're up there giving everyone the answers and they're just following them. It's very much a shared experience. I teach a course here at University of Maryland called Do Good Now.
Yes.
And one thing I tell my students from day one is that if we are doing this all right, then they will conclude the semester learning. I will end the semester learning as much, if not more, than they learn, hopefully, from me and from each other, because they're bringing their own perspectives and life experiences, and they're dealing with dynamic social issues that are always changing. And so it's fascinating to see how some of these themes and approaches evolve and take shape and take new life depending on how you're applying them and the person who's applying them. So I love that sense of learner mindset, that it's not just you have all the answers, but that you maybe help provide a framework or you can facilitate, but then you also participate in the process together. That's great. What advice would you give other Terps who want to start their own do-good journey?
Yeah, I think we are in an amazing community where I looked up before I interviewed the 12 schools and colleges on campus, right? So just I think just looking for resources and support across the campus to see, because I know that some of other programs funded through Do Good do similar things like summer camps or school-based projects or getting university students involved. So for those purposes, I think maybe hearing from public policy to see how community organizing takes place, or hearing from the psychology, the behavior sciences. What does it take to provide meaningful, effective training for staff? Or what does it mean to really have an effective communication materials for the families and the community members? I think we can answer all of those questions from our campus. So I think one tip Or I think one suggestion is to really explore those opportunities and engage in that collaboration together.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we have a Do Good Campus Strategic Leadership Council here at University of Maryland that has representatives from all 12 colleges and
Yeah,
schools. So they are the liaison for their respective unit on anyone who wants to do good and bring that idea to life, and then also to promote some of our existing programs like the Do Good Campus Fund. So I love that suggestion. I'd love to hear what has been the most surprising or rewarding moment in your Do Good journey so far.
Yeah. One thing that I'm thinking about is what happened as an extension of our Promise program. So some of our directors of this program got in touch with a disability advocacy group called Maryland Equity Coalition for People with Disabilities. And Ms. Lisa Lorraine and Ms. Ariela are the co-chairs for that. And I've learned that there are so many disability advocacy taking place in the community that I wasn't even aware of. And they invited us to participate in this ongoing conversation to continue our allyship. And they suggested, hey, every February we go to Annapolis, and it's an event called Developmental Disability Day led by the ARC of Maryland. So we just go and talk to state leaders about all the community-based work that we're doing, and just kind of asking for suggestions or guidance to continue that relationship with people for making all the important decisions at the state level. So our families, some of our families traveled with us, and they share their testimony of, this is something that was really helpful for us. This is something that continued to be some challenging areas for our families. We would love the continued support at the state and at the federal level for our community. So it was really, I think, powerful to hear and also involve families in that process together. So starting with our summer program to building a community for our families, and then kind of working together for kind of making further kind of higher level changes. I think that was a very exciting moment for us, and we continue to we hope to do that every year in February. So.
I love that. Talk about giving folks a sense of agency to be able to address things that are important to them and affect public policy.
Yeah, and
wow.
University students with me who went to that event as well.
That's great.
Nell O'Hara and Darsana, they came and were part of that conversation too. So.
Oh, wow, Veronica. I remember when we had our first interview when you were in the finalist running for Do Good Campus Fund. And I think there were something like 10 of you who joined the Zoom call. You had such a strong, motivated team.
That shows that it wouldn't have been possible. It was just like me popping into that interview. It was all of our students, even after program, we have to analyze the data, and we're doing some conference presentations and writing an article so we can disseminate it to a larger audience. So, and that's all, we're doing it with our university students. So without them, it would not be possible.
Great. That's great. So who or what inspires you to keep pushing forward in this work?
I think it's the people that I've been mentioning a lot throughout our conversation today. So it's the advocates in the community. So it might be the self-advocates who themselves have a disability, and I think that's the most important group that I want to learn from and who inspires me. And also family advocates or just community allies like ourselves from UMD and our community partners who really try to provide resources to our disability community. So they give us ideas, and I always have to remind myself, nothing about us without us is a very, it's a phrase that we use a lot in kind of the disability-related advocacy and community-based work. So I always try to remember that, and I think I learn most when I talk to the self-advocates and the family members.
That's great. Wow. So last question, and then we're going to switch into a rapid fire round. If you had to describe the Do Good spirit in one word, what would it be? Here we are on the nation's first Do Good campus. So in your own words, how would you evoke or capture that Do Good spirit?
I think the word community or maybe caring, community comes up to my mind a lot. I think of our UMD community, and I think the Do Good Institute, thanks to your wonderful team, you are like the vehicle that allow the drivers to make that impact. So I think of this Do Good community and the UMD community overall. And then I also think about our larger community just across our Maryland state, who are in this work together. So
Yes, I love that. And one thing you mentioned are 12 colleges and schools and how everyone can get involved in their own way. And being here at the Do Good Institute, one thing I appreciate is that we do our best to meet people where they are.
Yes.
So you don't have to be a public policy major, you don't have to be in the social sciences per se. Wherever you are, if you're in computer sciences, engineering, public health, we can meet you and support you for how you can do good within your discipline right here and now. So that's very well said. I love it. Okay, rapid fire questions. So we would love to know, what is your favorite food spot on campus, Veronica?
Yeah, I love the mini spot, Spot Mini, I think Spot Mini.
All right, yeah.
Where they have like the poke bowls there, and some bubble tea. That I really love that area. My mentor on campus took me there when I first visited campus, and I took our students a couple times there to celebrate end of the year. So that's my favorite. Oh, rapid response. So
no, that's great. That's great. So it imprinted on you.
Yes,
You're like, that was your
Yeah,
first food
Spot Mini.
spot when you arrived on campus. That's great. What about your favorite spot to study or get some deep focus work done?
It's been my office, but the unique thing about the location is it's within our suite where there's a student lounge. So sometimes I have my door open. Sometimes if I'm on a Zoom meeting, I close the door. But when I have the door open, I hear students like laughing and like brainstorming or sharing their concerns about midterms or like final presentation. It's really cool to be surrounded by students and just saying hello. And I keep seeing familiar faces, and it's nice to be in that physical space together, and it allows me to, I think, stay motivated and focused as well as I work on any writing or any presentation materials that I'm working on. So.
It's very energizing and inspiring. I find it's like this is the latest generation of change makers, and you're hearing and learning from them about how they're going to embark on their change-making journey. So I couldn't agree more. What is the favorite class you have ever taken or taught?
Yeah, so it's the course I'm teaching right now this semester. It's EDSB 210. It's Foundation of Special Education Inclusive Practices. And this class is for our non-education majors, so freshmen, sophomores. I think one grad student in my class too, and it's just allowing a really fluid conversation around what inclusion looks like across different disciplines, because I have some students from business, marketing, and journalism, psychology, hearing and speech sciences. So just engaging, promoting conversation around we learned about all of these different disability categories. We talked about the history of special ed. What do you think is something we can take away in our own career? And some students shared, I will be doing something related to marketing. So I want to think about ways to increase disability awareness through my work. Or another student, she's doing speech and hearing sciences, and she wants to understand how she can support the different kind of population that she'll be working with through her clinical work. And so it's really awesome to hear from kind of something they get away from the course that they can apply to their own life. So, and we try to talk about just regardless of work or their majors, something they can apply in their personal life as well, because I emphasize, advocacy really takes place professionally, but also personally in your own life.
At the kitchen table.
At a restaurant, like in the hallway, right? Or at the, at the bus stop, right?
Right,
so just,
exactly.
So I think that's been a really amazing conversation and one of my favorite moments this semester.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get students from all majors in my classes, and when I hear how they are applying themes of social impact to their own interests and disciplines, a light bulb always goes off. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, I agree.
And the way they apply it is very special, and it's just always changing and always new. So I totally hear what you're saying. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received during your time at University of Maryland?
Yeah, I heard, people who are, grabbing coffee with me or in my first meeting, right, on campus, they said, reach out and connect with people. That's
Yeah.
something that I often heard very much and that I try to act upon. And that has helped me a lot. I believe actually one of the people I connected with my, first year told me about, these wonderful opportunities like the Do Good Institute. I know that you have the impact internship
Yeah.
opportunities as well
Yeah.
in your office as well. So things like that, I get to hear about something I wasn't aware of, or maybe I get to hear success stories, or maybe some stories where they had challenges, how they overcame that. So it's nice to hear from students and faculty and staff as well. We have amazing staff in our department
Yeah.
who really make all of that possible. So like budgeting or,
Yeah.
connecting with students who might be interested in being part of our program, all of that, I think it wouldn't have been possible without really reaching out and just connecting. So.
And I definitely appreciate how you walk the talk, Veronica. I feel like we've crossed paths in many different
Yes.
ways across campus as we figure out how to improve our teaching
Yes.
or to access different opportunities for collaboration with other departments.
Yes,
So
I agree.
I think that's great advice. What is one UMD tradition everyone should try at least once?
I hope this is considered as a tradition.
Let's hear it, yeah.
The Maryland Day is
Yeah,
something,
right.
around April, around that end of springtime. I'm part of the University of Maryland Autism Research Consortium, and we have a booth every year, and we have a sensory-friendly art activity for the young children. So they come, and there's beans and rice and like crayons and coloring, any like different things they can explore. And I think it's one of the popular spots for our young children that day on Maryland Day. And I brought family, my mother and my baby to Maryland Day
yeah.
as well. And it's just nice to see people getting to know all the wonderful things that are happening on campus. So highly encourage.
I like it. I like it. So for those who may not be familiar with University of Maryland, we have our mascot, which is Testudo.
Yes.
And all across campus, there's various Testudo statues, which you can rub the snout of
Yes.
Testudo for good luck. Is there a favorite Testudo statue that you like to rub for good luck?
Yes, the one and the only that
Yeah.
I have rubbed is the one inside the stamp building.
Okay.
And that was at my first visit on campus as
Okay.
well. So I was told of that, the history,
tradition,
the
yeah.
tradition, and I did, and I wish for, a smooth first year, and I did, and I think thanks to Testudo, now I
Yeah.
get to do wonderful things in partnership
Excellent.
with Do Good Institute and our community members. So. That's my favorite.
I like it. I like
Testudo.
it. It sounds like your wish came true.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite University of Maryland sport to watch?
I have heard women's basketball
Yeah.
team is very strong. That's something I think I need to spend time and go support.
Awesome. I love it.
But it's also cool to hear all the noise and music when the football game is happening. I'm in the
Yes.
Benjamin building.
Yes. And if you ever get a chance to go through the rings that lead up to Do Good Plaza
Okay.
during various milestone events across campus throughout the year, like they'll play the UMD fight song during homecoming, for example, or the graduation
Cool.
theme during graduation. So
Okay.
another way to further build
All
that
right,
spirit.
I'll do that.
How would you describe the University of Maryland in 3 words?
Yeah, I thought about that. I think it's transformative
Okay.
because it's making changes in our students and our faculty and our communities' lives and their trajectory. I think UMD is caring. I think I really appreciate being part of UMD because we talk a lot about how to do meaningful, impactful work, but not just by like metrics or by the numbers or kind of the traditional way of measuring our progress, but we really care about how we can touch people's lives and really lift up voices and give opportunities for the people in our community. So I appreciate that UMD is caring in that aspect. And then, like I mentioned, community. I think we have a really supportive and very welcoming community, and I felt that day one when I entered UMD, and my hope is that our students feel that way too.
That's great. So I heard transformative, caring, and community.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more. Veronica Kang, thanks for being part of our Do Good campus community. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter, visit Do Good Plaza here at the University of Maryland, and consider making a gift to support more changemakers like Veronica. Together, let's keep the movement going and remember to do good now. Thank you, Veronica, so much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah, we did it.